celestial airplanes, which could then no longer be seen. 59. Attacked by Lord Shiva's golden arrows, all the demonic inhabitants of those three dwellings lost their lives and fell down. Then the great mystic Mayadanav dropped the demons into a nectarine well that he had created.
When the dead bodies of the demons came in touch with the nectar, their bodies became invincible to thunderbolts. Endowed with great strength, they got up like lightning penetrating clouds. Seeing Lord Shiva very much aggrieved and disappointed, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, considered how to stop this nuisance created by Maya Danava.
Then Lord Brahma became a calf and Lord Vishnu a cow. And at noon they entered the residencies and drank all the nectar in the well. Text 63. The demons could see the calf and cow, but because of the illusion created by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demons could not forbid them. The great mystic Mayadanava became aware that the calf and cow were drinking the nectar, and he could understand this to be unseen power of providence. Thus he spoke to the demons who were grievously lamenting.
Mayadanava said, "What has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else." Narada Muni continued, "Thereafter, Lord Krishna, by his own personal potency, consisting of religion, knowledge, renunciation, opulence, austerity, education, and activities, equipped Lord Shiva with all the necessary paraphernalia, such as a chariot, a charioteer, a flag, horses, elephants, a bow, a shield, and arrows. When Lord Shiva was fully equipped in this way, he sat down on the chariot with his arrows and bows to fight with the demons."
My dear King Yudhishthir, the most powerful Lord Shiva joined the arrows to his bow, and at noon he set fire to all three residences of the demons and thus destroyed them. Seated in their airplanes in the sky, the inhabitants of the higher planetary systems beat many kettle drums. The demigods, saints, pitas, siddhas, and various great personalities showered flowers on the head of Lord Shiva, wishing them all victory, and the apsaras began to chant and dance with great pleasure.
O King Yudhishthira, thus Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari, the annihilator of three dwellings of the demons, because he burnt these dwellings to ashes, being worshipped by demigods headed by Lord Brahma. Lord Shiva returned to his own abode. Text 70. The Lord Sri Krishna appeared as a human being, yet he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. How can I say more about his activities than what has already been said by great saintly persons? Everyone can be purified by these activities simply by hearing about them.
Bye. Thank you very much. So now let's go back to text 64, and we'll recite the Sanskrit. So please repeat after me. Devo suro naronyo va Neshvaro, sorry, I can't see. Neshvaro stiha kaschana Atmanon yasya vadishtam Daivena pohitum dvayo Devo suro naronyo va Neshvaro stiha kaschana Atmanon yasya vadishtam Daivena pohitum dvayo. Please chat. Deva sura naronyava Neshvarosti hakaschana Atmanonyasya vadishtam Daivena pohitum dvayo. Devo suro naronyova Neshvarosti hakaschana Atmanonyasya vadishtam Daivena pohitum dvayo. Okay, we'll go into the word for word then. We'll do this all together. Deva, the demigods. Asura, the demons. Nara, humans. Anya, or anyone else. Va, either. Na, not. Ishvaraha, the supreme controller. Asti, is. Iha, in this world. Kaschana, anyone. Atmanaha, one's own. Anyasya, another's. Va, either. Dishtam, destiny. Daivena, which is given by the Supreme Lord. Apohitum, to undo. Dvayo, of both of them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Mayadanava said, what has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or for both oneself and others, cannot be undone anywhere or by anyone, whether one be a demigod, a demon, a human being, or anyone else. Purport. The Supreme Lord is one, Krishna, the Vishnu Tattva. Krishna expands himself into Vishnu Tattva personal expansions, Swamsha, who control everything. Mayadanava said, however I plan, you plan, or both of us plan, the Lord has planned what is to happen. It's very eloquently said. I'm going to read that again. However I plan, you plan, or both of us plan, the Lord has planned what is to happen. No one's plan will be successful without His sanction. We may make our own various plans, but unless they are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, they will never be successful. Hundreds and millions of plans are made by all kinds of living entities, but without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, they are futile. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, sometimes we have very big plans, or even small plans. Plan everything out. Nowadays, strategic planning is a big thing, right? So we sit down together with our team and hash out all the different, strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, and do environmental scanning and look at the short and long-term goals and objectives, the mission and vision, take all these things into consideration, and then we come out with a very inspiring strategic plan for our organization or our company or our family or our personal lives. And we try our best to make that plan become a reality, right, to implement the plan. But as Prabhupada says, man proposes and God disposes. So if our plan is sanctioned by Krishna, then it will be a success. It will be fulfilled beyond our imagination, beyond our expectations. And if our plan is not approved by Krishna, then it's just going to be one frustration after another. So, but that's good because ultimately we don't want to do anything which is not approved by Krishna, because that thing would not be good for us, right? Krishna is not going to, he's our best friend and eternal well-wisher. And so He's always arranging the things that are best for us. And He knows what's best for us because He's the omnipotent, omniscient Supreme Lord. So sometimes we have the idea, oh, this will be very good. Let me do this. If this turns out well, that's going to be fantastic for me and for everyone. But Krishna's like, actually, you know, that I know better, right? So yeah, our vision is very narrow. We don't remember much from the past, and whatever we remember is just the recent past. We don't remember all our previous lifetimes, and even the present. Our understanding of what's happening in the present is very limited to our own experience, our own perspective. There are many things that we miss, we don't see, we don't have experience of. And then with the speak of the future, we don't know anything about it. But Krishna knows past, present, and future. He's Tri Kalagya. And so he knows what is the best course of action. And so if we make a plan and Krishna doesn't sanction it, then that's a good thing. It's good that we got frustrated. And whatever Krishna wanted to happen is what's going to happen, and that's always the best. And then if we do make a plan and it's aligned with Krishna's plan, then it will manifest beautifully. So either way, it's a win-win. Right? Either way, we're going to win. Even if our plan flops, it's still a success because what happened was Krishna's plan, and Krishna's plan is always the better one anyway. So ultimately, we don't need to worry. But one thing we can do, because it's nice to, if one could think, well, does that mean that I shouldn't plan at all? I should just sit back and let life happen as it will? And so there's a saying also that one who fails to plan, plans to fail. So we need to have some plan. So then what to do? How do we know how to plan? We don't have Krishna's vision. And so then what we have to do is before we start planning, we need to pray. Krishna, dear Krishna, please illuminate the path forward. Please give me some insight into what it is that you want me to do with my life, or how you want us to run this organization, right? Because, for example, the temple managers meet, the board of directors meets, and we start every meeting by intensely praying. Dear Shri Shri Radhakalachandji, please give us the intelligence. Please, by your mercy, inspire us to, have the intelligence and the insight to be able to, know how to make decisions and plans according to your will. Let your desire be our desire, basically, like that. Let us be totally aligned with Srila Prabhupada's mission and vision for your temple. So like that, and then, and then we start. So hopefully, Krishna is going to do the needful and adjust our thinking, give us some perspective, give us that insight that we need to be able to do things as he wants. And so we can do that ourselves too, and thinking about the family, so many decisions that parents need to make about where are we going to live, which house are we going to buy, which school are we going to send the children to, where are we going to go on vacation, and all these things. How are we going to spend the money? How are we going to invest our savings? Like that. So there's so many important decisions, and in all those decisions we can pray. Dear Shri Shri Radhakalachandji, please guide me. You've gifted me with some, finances. You've given me these children. Please direct me how to use, how to engage everything in your service the way that you see as best. And give me that understanding. So it's interesting that this very enlightened perspective is coming from Mayadanava, who's a demon, right? But he understands that there is a Supreme Lord, and that Lord is the Supreme Controller, and whatever is happening by the will of the Lord. So I was just looking into this personality, Mayadanava, a little bit, and he appears again and again in different places, not so frequently, but several times through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And basically there's different categories of demons. So they're the Daityas and the Danavas. And both of those are progeny or children of Kashyapa Muni. So Kashyapa Muni had many wives, and through those wives he gave birth to all the different categories of living entities, including different species in the universe. And so one of his wives was Diti, and Diti, she gave birth to the Daityas, the demons who are called Daityas. So Hiranyakashipu that we were just hearing about is a son of Diti, and his brother Hiranyaksha also, the one who was killed by Varahadev, he's also a son of Diti. And then Kashyapa had another wife called Danu. So through Danu, she gave birth to the Danavas. And so what we're hearing about here is one of those Danavas named Maya Danava. And Maya Danava, he's famous for his technological expertise. he's called the Mayavi, or the actually no, there's another word that was mentioned here. Where is it? So he's called the Acharya. He's called the Parama Acharya. What's the word? Mayavin. Yeah, he's called the Mayavin Parama Acharya. So Mayavin means technology. It also means illusions. Technology. So he's basically the Acharya, the Parama Acharya, the supreme Acharya of technology. So all this technology that we use in the world today, all of our, mobile digital devices and everything, just AI and everything, ChatGTP, it's all coming from Maya Danava. And he's ruler of Talatala, which is one of the subterranean heavenly planets. So all this knowledge of technology, it originates from Maya Danava and the subterranean planets, subterranean regions. And Maya Danava comes, just like we travel, we have our home, but we also travel. So his permanent residence is Talatala, but he also travels around the universe, because sometimes he comes to Earth and he teaches things about technology. And the demons worship him to get knowledge and ability to, produce and use technology for their various purposes. So it's very interesting. And I was just in New Vrindavan and I was talking to Varshana Swami. And every time I go to New Vrindavan, I always go to see Varshana Swami because he lives up on the hill. He's kind of like, he's kind of like a hermit. He lives a little bit reclusively there. And he doesn't come down much, but if you go up, he'll talk to you. He'll receive you very nicely, and he's, he has a lot to share. He's a very transcendental personality. And we were hearing about him yesterday. So I went to talk to him, and he's writing a book. He's working on a book of his sort of meditations about nature and Krishna and Radha Krishna and Vrindavan and Vrindadevi and things. And he wants each of his sort of meditations to have a picture that goes along with it. But he's going to have all original art. So he has a concept in his mind, like you're a writer and you have a concept in your mind of what you want the illustration or the painting to be that goes with your writing, and you need to communicate that to the artist. So he's trying to communicate to the artist, but it's not quite right. So then he's thinking, one of his disciples suggested, why don't you try just typing in exactly what you want into AI and see what comes out? So Maharaj, he's very into just nature and, everything being just simple and back to the earth. He grew up in upstate New York on an organic farm where they didn't use tractors. They used draft horses for plowing and working. So when he came to Vrindavan, New Vrindavan, way back in the early 70s, then he was working with what he calls the plow department. He was working with agriculture. So they were plowing the fields and growing food for all the devotees. And so he's always just been very in tune with the land and working with animals, like training the oxen and all that. So he's very much just like a nature person. And so but previously he would always speak with some bitterness, about industry and technology and all these things. So it was very surprising for me that when I went there, he was like, yeah, it was amazing how I think AI just read my mind. It saw what I was seeing in my mind, and it just, like the image that it generated was exactly what he was like, I think it was Maya Danava. And then he was telling me, actually, Maya Danava, he's not all bad. He's a demon, but he's not all bad because he's related to Tulsi Devi. So this is Maharaj's thing. He's really into Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, and he has a deity of Vrinda Devi that he worships. And he's saying, the story is that Maya Danava, his nephew, is actually Shankachuda, and Shankachuda married Tulsi, in that Leela that's described in the one of the Puranas. I think it's the Brihad Naradiya Purana. And so he said he has a connection. He actually has a connection to Tulsi Devi. So when I was envisioning this, picture, then I'm thinking it has something to do with the family relationship between Tulsi Devi and Shankachuda and Vrinda Devi and Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan and Maya Danava. So it's just funny that it was interesting that he was making that connection. So in any case, there is a connection between Maya Danava and Tulsi Devi, who's of course, Tulsi Devi is very much, directly and intimately involved with Radha and Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. So, not to say that Maya Danava is a part of that, perhaps in another form he does, but here Maya Danava is described as a demon. But he's speaking learned words, so he's obviously a pious demon. Right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many pious demons who they're pious in the sense that even though they're materialistic, but they approach a higher authority, right? Like they'll worship Lord Shiva to get power, or they'll worship Lord Brahma to get power. So they recognize that there is a structure in the universe, there's a system of authority, there's a hierarchy, and that there are demigods who are higher than them, and that if they worship those demigods, then they can get benedictions. And ultimately, they understand that those benedictions come from the Lord, but because they consider the Lord a competitor, then they don't like to recognize that. So you see here, Maya Danava, he's actually publicly recognizing the supremacy of the Lord and how he's controlling everything. So, yeah. Another thing that Maya Danava is known for is, the word Mayavi means a sorcerer. He's a sorcerer. So he's a master of illusions. Yeah, Maya Vinam Acharya. That means, Maya means illusion, and Vina means conjurer. So he's the Acharya of those who conjure illusions. And we see that the demons, especially the Yakshas, are very good at this. Right? When Dhruva Maharaj was battling against the Yakshas, then he was finishing them off. He had practically defeated them, and then all of a sudden they conjured up this illusion where there was this huge tsunami coming that was going to, wash him away, and there were blood and pus and mucus and dead body parts and things falling from the sky, and black clouds and hailstones falling, and it was a big illusion. And Swayambhuva Manu came at that time and he said, "Don't worry, my grandson, dear Dhruva, this is all just an illusion created by the Yakshas. This is all just Maya. Just chant Hare Krishna, chant the holy names of the Lord, and all this Maya will be dispelled. Because wherever there's Krishna, Krishna's like the sun and Maya is like darkness. So wherever there's Krishna, there can't be any Maya." So that all dissipated, and then he was able to be victorious. So, yeah. So Maya Danava, he also has experience. He also has personal experience of this fact that the Lord is the supreme controller, and we may try to do things, but it's only going to be successful if the Lord sanctions it. And because there was a pastime in which Agni, the demigod of fire, he got a stomach ache because there was one king that was offering so much ghee. So he's worshipping, doing yagyas and offering ghee into the fire. And so Agni was consuming so much ghee, and then he got a stomach ache, just like anyone would get if they ate that much ghee. So then he went to Lord Brahma and he was like, what do I do now? Feeling terrible. And he said, you need some Ayurvedic medicine. You need to take some herbal remedies. And he said, I'm going to need a lot of herbs to make this thing go away. And he said, okay, go to the Khandava forest. There are a lot of plants and herbs and Ayurvedic herbs that are just growing there. You go there and just eat all those, just consume all those. So then how does Agni consume things? He burns them because he's made of fire. So he was burning down the whole Khandava forest with his flames. And that way he was devouring it, basically, to get better. And then Lord Indra saw that, and so Mayadanava was living in that Khandava forest. And the other reason why Brahma recommended burn down the Khandava forest is because there were so many very powerful serpents, like poisonous serpents that lived in that forest, including one serpent named Takshaka, who was a friend of Indra, because he had helped Indra at one previous time. So Indra, he wasn't happy that the Khandava forest was being burnt because he was worried about Takshaka. So he made all these clouds come and was showering a lot of rain, raining like that. And so Krishna and Arjuna were there, and they saw Indra showering rain, and Krishna said, no, Agni needs to consume this forest to get, this is like his health remedy. This is like, his medical treatment here. Why is Indra interfering? They said, we have to stop Indra, we have to block the rain. So then Krishna told Arjuna, use your arrows to block the rain, to make like a shelter. So then Arjuna shot so many arrows. He shot arrows that basically wove like a roof, a canopy, like an umbrella over the whole Khandava forest, so that all the rain of Indra wouldn't stop his rain, but it was just, going off the roof and running off to the side of the forest. And that way Agni was able to consume the whole forest. But then Mayadanava was in that forest, and he was like yelling for help. And he went to Arjuna and he said, I can see that you're the powerful one here, so please, save me. And so Arjuna saved him. And later, Mayadanava was so grateful for Arjuna, to Arjuna and Krishna, that Krishna said, well, if you're actually grateful, then you should do something for them. So Mayadanava said, what should I do? And Krishna said, you should make a palace for them, for Maharaj Yudhisthira, because he's going to be the king. And so he designed the Indraprastha palace that the Pandavas lived in there, in which, and he designed it in such a way that it was absolutely like beautiful. The architecture was amazing. It was beautiful, and it had all these illusions built into the design. So one of the illusions was that the floor, what looked like floor was actually water, and what looked like water was the floor. So unless you knew how to navigate your way around that house, it was hard, like you didn't know where to step. And so one day they invited Duryodhana over to visit them. Come see our new place. And they didn't mean anything bad, but I think they just kind of forgot that the floor was like that because they got so used to it. And then Duryodhana was walking along, and all of a sudden, he fell into the water thinking it was the floor, and he got soaked. And then Draupadi was up on the balcony, and she saw it happening, and she started laughing. And then Duryodhana became very, what's the word? Like disturbed, because he had been dishonored, and it wasn't nice, like he was invited to the house, and he got humiliated in front of everyone, especially in front of Draupadi, who was somebody that he wanted to have as his wife and lost her, and that was like insult upon injury kind of thing in his mind. And that was like what really triggered the Battle of Kurukshetra, which was all according to Krishna's plan. So you see, this is all Krishna's plan. Krishna has a grand plan that he wanted this Battle of Kurukshetra to happen so that all the demons, millions of demons, demoniac soldiers could come, be assembled, and be all killed in one place to remove the burden of the earth. And so he arranged that Duryodhana become humiliated, and which started from, in order for Duryodhana to become humiliated in this way, then there needed to be an illusion, and Mayadanava, and the forest. So all these things, Krishna just has, every little thing is seeming like uncommon occurrences, so many uncommon, inexplicable occurrences, but they're all leading towards Krishna's ultimate objective, which is to save the earth from all these demons. And he even engages the demons in the process. So, so when we look at our lives, we'll see so many things happen, like, why did that happen? This is just so weird. That was so random, right? But we can see, like, events unfolding, and everything is going in a certain direction, which we can't see. Like, who would think that Agni's, eating ghee and getting a stomachache somehow led to the Battle of Kurukshetra, right? But it did. So there we go. And so what Mayadanava saw in that situation was Indra was trying to stop the fire, but because Lord Vishnu, Krishna, wanted that fire to happen, then there was nothing Indra could do. So ultimately, and presumably he's seen that time and time again, that what has been destined by the Supreme Lord for oneself, for others, or oneself and others cannot be undone anywhere by anyone, not by a demigod, not by a demon, a human, or anyone else. So that's something to remember in our lives as things go, that everything is happening by the will of Krishna, and that we should try to align ourselves with Krishna's will, and then our plans will be successful. Otherwise, Krishna will tweak them. Or he might totally just defeat them and frustrate us and push us in a new direction. So, so a lot of interesting things are happening here in this pastime. We see that, and one of the main lessons of this pastime is to show, as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out in the purport here of text 51, the first verse that we read, is that he says, this historical incident proves that Lord Shiva derives power from Lord Krishna. Because a lot of people think that Lord Shiva is the supreme powerful being in the universe, the supreme Lord. So this, in this pastime, and one of the purposes of the Srimad Bhagavatam is to show that out of all the different incarnations, Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the origin of all other Vishnu Tattva expansions, what to speak of demigods that expand from him, and he's the source of all power. And we just saw that also with Prahlad and Lord Nrsingadev and Hiranyakashipu, that Prahlad was so powerful. Hiranyakashipu thought he was the most powerful being in the universe, but he couldn't do anything with his son. He couldn't kill him. He couldn't even scratch him. He couldn't even make him afraid. And Hiranyakashipu himself was so fearful. And he said, Prahlad, where is it that you get your power from? And Prahlad said, same place you get your power from. Same place everybody gets their power from the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so that's the fact. Everyone's getting their power from the Lord. Anyone who has any power, any intelligence, that's coming from Krishna. And so Krishna can give it, and he can also take it away. And that's what he did in the case of Mayadanava. So Mayadanava's sorcery is also empowered by Krishna. And what we see happening here is that the demons had been defeated by the demigods, so they went to Mayadanava and they said, please help. These demigods, they defeated us. We need to get back our kingdoms. So Mayadanava, he used his powers and he created three different flying cities, basically. One made of gold, one made of silver, one made of iron, and they were invisible. So the demigods couldn't see them, they couldn't do anything. So then the demigods, now that they had these cities, they're like, now we're in a position of strength, nobody can hurt us, they can't see us, and they just started, killing all the demigods. And so then the demigods went to Lord Shiva, and he said, don't worry, I'm going to help you. So then he got his bow. And Lord Shiva is extremely powerful. Out of all the demigods, he is the most powerful. He's like in a whole different tattva of him. All the other demigods are Jiva tattva, but Lord Shiva is Shiva tattva. And so he takes his bow and arrow, and he starts burning up those three cities, the three flying cities made by Mayadanava, and killing all the demons that live there. So then the demons who are being killed, they go again to Mayadanava, and Mayadanava says, okay, I'm going to fix this. And so he just makes this big well full of nectar that Prabhupada says this nectar is Mritya Sanjiva Yitari, which means that it can bring the dead back to life. So then he was just dipping all the dead bodies of these demons into this well and pulling them out. And then they're coming back to life with like redoubled strength. It says, endowed with great strength, they got up like lightning penetrating clouds. So they were very, electrified. They were very empowered. And Lord Shiva was frustrated. Shri Shri Radhakala Chandji ki jai. So Lord Shiva was basically foiled. So this is what is being emphasized here, is that Lord Shiva, he had burnt the kingdoms to ashes, but then they all came back to life. So ultimately, whatever Lord Shiva did didn't have much effect. And so Lord Vishnu, he's always paying attention. See, Lord Shiva, he doesn't go, dear Lord, please help us. But the Lord is automatically always paying attention to his devotees. And he sees, not that he didn't know. He arranged the whole thing. But he's like, okay, now my devotee is in trouble. And I need to go to help. So then Krishna, he has his own mystic powers. So Mayadanava has some, even though he's the acharya of mystic powers, but his mystic powers are given to him by Krishna. They can be taken away by Krishna. And even whatever he has is just partial. So the real acharya of mystic powers, the real master of mystic powers is Krishna. Right? That's how he's addressed, Yogeshvara, master of mystic powers in Bhagavad Gita. So then the Lord, he changes himself into a cow, and he changes Lord Brahma into a calf, and they just go there and start drinking all the nectar out of that well. And they're just sucking it all up, swallowing it all down. And by the influence of the Lord's illusory energies, he also has his own illusory energies, even though Mayadanava saw that this cow and calf were drinking up the nectar, he couldn't do anything about it. It's like you see something, he was just like totally like paralyzed. Sometimes you have like sleep paralysis and you're trying to get up and you can't move your body even though you're like kind of awake, but you're just like, so like that, he sees and he's like, oh no, they're drinking the nectar, but he's like stupefied. He can't do anything. And then he realizes, so then he says this verse, he says, oh, this must be Krishna's plan. So this is Krishna. He's the bewilderer of the bewilderers. Right? He's called, one of his names is Madan Mohan, which means that Madan is Cupid. Cupid bewilders everyone, but Krishna bewilders Cupid. So in the same way, Mayadanava, he creates he illusions everyone, but Krishna puts him into illusion. So that's the Lord. No one can overpower him in any way. And that's what this pastime is showing. In text 65 to 66, it talks about Krishna's personal potencies, consisting of religion, knowledge, renunciation, opulence, austerity, education, and activities, or the power to act. And those are just a few of them. Those are like beginning with those potencies. And they said that Krishna then, now that they drank up the well, then he empowers Lord Shiva. It says he equips Lord Shiva with all the necessary paraphernalia. And then Prabhupada in that purport, he says that Lord Krishna is always prepared to help all the Mahajanas and devotees in every respect. And because Lord Shiva is one of the chief devotees of the Lord personally equipped him with all the paraphernalia of war. The devotee therefore must serve the Lord sincerely, and Krishna is always in the background to protect him, and if need be, to equip him fully to fight with his enemy. For devotees, there is no scarcity of knowledge or material requisites for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. So this is also a very important point to remember, that Krishna is always in the background, and he's always watching what we're doing. And he's ready to supply whatever we may need. He has all these potencies. So, specifically mentioned are the potency of Dharma. So, just in case we're not from a very dharmic background, Krishna can give us, he can equip us with Dharma, with the ability to know right from wrong, the ability to discriminate, the ability to know what should be done, what should not be done, like that. And Gyan, knowledge, the knowledge of transcendence, of difference between matter and spirit, of the relationship between the soul with God, about who is God, what his energies are, how they act in this world. He can empower, he can equip us with gyan. And then virakti is renunciation, so detachment from this world, so that we can let go of the material desires and the things of this world that entangle us in karma bandhana, karmic bondage. And then riddhi means opulence. He can also bestow all kinds of wealth and assets that we can use in his service. And tapa, austerity. He can empower us with the ability to tolerate difficulties that we may encounter in his service, right, whatever those may be. Physical difficulties, mental difficulties, social difficulties, right, dealing with difficult people. He can give us the ability to just go through those very, easily, just flow with all these difficulties and keep going in our service, empowering us with tapa. And then vidya means education. So he can also create opportunities for education and empower us to get the full benefits of education in whatever field of knowledge we need to become expert in, whether it be Shastra or some, secular field of knowledge, but he can impart that kind of knowledge too. And then Kriya, activities. So Krishna empowers our activities, and he directs us to perform particular activities so that we can advance, the Krishna consciousness movement and inspire others in their devotional activities. And then Adibi, it says, these are just the beginning. This is just a little sample. These are just the beginning of Krishna's unlimited potencies by which he empowers, inspires, protects, and equips his devotees in his service. So here he's empowering Lord Shiva. And that's the message in this chapter, that Lord Shiva, he's not independently powerful, but he's empowered by the Lord, who is the original source of all power. And so knowing that all empowerment, intelligence, and detachment, and opulence, and all these things come from Krishna, that they actually belong to Krishna, he invests us with them, then we should understand that they're meant to be used in his service. So the problem with Maya Danava is that, like Prabhupada mentions here in the purport to text 59, it says that Maya Danava is a Mahayogi, a great mystic, but his business was to help the Asuras. So he's misusing his powers to help those who are antagonistic to the Lord. And Krishna talks about this in Bhagavad Gita, this Mayaya Pahrita Gyan, that people who have Gyan, they have knowledge, but that knowledge is stolen by illusion. And so those people don't surrender to the Lord, and they continue suffering birth after birth in the material world. So we don't want to end up like that. We don't want to misuse the gifts and talents and intelligence that Krishna has given us for materialistic purposes. Otherwise we remain stuck in the material world. If instead we use everything in Krishna's service, whatever he's equipped us with, then those activities become the cause of our liberation, cause of our going back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so there are many things here. And then this chapter concludes with Lord Shiva being empowered, after being empowered by the Lord, going ahead and burning all those 3 cities to ashes. And so he's called Tripurari. Tri means 3, and Pura means cities, and Ari means the destroyer, the destroyer of the 3 cities created by Maya Danava. And so he destroys all the demons along with them, and the demigods emerge victorious as usual, as always. The demigods always emerge victorious because Krishna supports the demigods. He always protects his devotees. Okay? Prabhupada concludes here with this purport that the activities of the Lord are uncommon. And although Krishna appears as a human being, he's not an ordinary human being. And but we can understand him by studying the Bhagavad Gita. And having understood him, then we need to help others understand him to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada writes, this Krishna consciousness movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. If people take this movement seriously, their lives as human beings will be successful. Because if we know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we're going to know that he's the source of everything, and we're going to know that everything comes from him and is meant to be used in his service, and then our lives become successful, as our lives are just full of devotional service. Everything that we do is an offering of devotion to the Lord. So that's the end of chapter 10. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what a wonderful class. Thank you so much. The story of Maya Danava is like so close to our lives. He's the ruler of technology, or and our lives are so ingrained. I'm involved
Keep the mic in.
dealing with technology on a day-to-day basis.
Uh-huh.
So one question, or thought, quite a few. Back in the days, it seemed there was a clear separation of, okay, these are the devotees, these are the Danavas or Daityas.
The Asuras, yeah.
Yes, and like Maya Danava also, he's aware of Vishnu's presence and power, but I guess he just choose to surrender, and so he's categorized under the Danavas. Even though Indra was his friend in the later pastime, so they seem to have interactions, but then still there's a clear demarcation that, okay, Indra is a devotee, Maya Danava is a asura. Whereas in our lives, where we say in Kali Yuga, both the demon and the devotee, these natures are in one person, both of them. And so what is it that, we're dealing with technology, we are dealing with all these demonic things, and we're saying, okay, we're try to use everything in Krishna's service. But then what is it that, would separate us or help us not kind of control our demonic tendencies, even if we are surrounded by all of this and utilizing all of this?
Yeah. Yeah. So, everything can be used in Krishna's service, right? It says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatarham Upayunjadaha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchite. That when we're not attached to anything for our own selfish enjoyment, but we do use everything in Krishna's service, then that's Yukta Vairagya. So ultimately everything is the energy of the Lord, right? Even Maya Danava is empowered by the Lord. So all the technological things that he creates or inspires others to create, that's sanctioned by the Lord, right? If it wasn't sanctioned by the Lord, we wouldn't have mobile phones, we wouldn't have laptop computers, we wouldn't have artificial intelligence, we wouldn't have all these things. The fact that it exists means that it was sanctioned by the Lord, otherwise it wouldn't exist, right? That's what Maya Danava is saying, that nothing happens unless it's sanctioned by the Lord. So the fact that it's all here means that somehow or other, the Lord has, enabled this, and ultimately it's all his energy. It's all just different manifestations of his energy. So like everything else, like all other manifestations of his energy, it's all meant to be used in his service. So then we just use it in his service. That's all. And we don't need to reject anything. Right? We don't reject things, we connect things to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada would call dovetailing. We just connect everything to Krishna. And then instead of those things degrading us, then they can uplift us because they're our connection to Krishna. Right? Like there are devotees who, they just spend all day, like their service is working with technology, right? Like if somebody's a social media expert for the temple, right? Then they just spend all day with devices and recording and video editing and posting different social media outlets and all these things. It's like they're just constantly dealing with technology, but that's their service for Krishna, right? So they're working with one form of, and someone else is, making garlands and flower vases and flower decorations for the deities. So, okay, they're working with natural, beautiful things, and someone else is using, all these little machines and devices and, gadgets. But ultimately, it's equal because they're just using Krishna's energy in Krishna's service. You just see it like that. Using Krishna's energy in Krishna's service. And the energy and the intelligence that we are, by which we're able to use Krishna's energy in Krishna's service is also Krishna's energy. Right? Everything's Krishna's energy. So it's just very simple. We don't need to distinguish between one type of energy and another type of energy so much. What we need to distinguish between is our consciousness, right? Am I actually using this for Krishna, or am I using this for my sense gratification? That's where we need to, make judgments and things.
Thank you. One more question. This reference to nectar comes up in a few times. So, and it seems like even in the example of Rahu Ketu, like he became kind of immortal. But again, that's with reference to till the cosmic creation exists, or how do we understand this nectar of immortality? Because like Brahma once said, nobody is immortal. Then how does this nectar keep showing up?
Yeah, so even that nectar that came from the churning of the milk ocean that they called the nectar of immortality, it doesn't mean that they're not going to die. It just means that they're going to live a very long time. They can't be killed. It means that they can't be killed by, like a living being in this world. But at the end of at the time of the cosmic annihilation, they're not going to survive that. They will die only by the will of the Lord. They can't be killed in battle. That's my understanding. It's kind of like, sometimes we say nitya, like souls in this material world being nitya bada, that we're eternally conditioned. So it just means a very, very, very long time. So no one's immortal in this world. Of course, the soul's immortal, but talking about the body here, right? So there's no body that's going to live forever, that's going to be able to withstand, unless they're particularly blessed by the Lord, like Markandeya Rishi. He was able to live through the annihilation. But that's because he was a pure devotee, and he requested the Lord, I want to see the power of your Maya. I want to see your destructive potencies. Please let me experience the cosmic annihilation. And so, he didn't have a good experience, but he experienced it. It wasn't fun. But ultimately, Krishna was there for him, floating on a banyan leaf, little baby Krishna sucking his toe in the waters of devastation. So everything's possible by Krishna's mercy, but ultimately, again, Krishna's controlling. So even if you've drunk the nectar of immortality, if Krishna wants you to die, you're going to die. Right? And even if you haven't drunk it, if you got the blessing to survive the annihilation, you'll survive the annihilation. But as devotees, we're not attached one way or the other. We just, okay, Krishna, you've given me this life. You can, Mara be, Raka be, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you can kill me or you can protect me as you like. I'm your servant. I totally belong to you. I'm your property. You can do with me whatever you like. If you want, you can kill me. If you want, you can keep me. You can give me a short life. You can give me a long life. You can give me a good life. You can give me a difficult life. Whatever you want me to experience, whatever you want me to do for you, wherever you want me to live, just, do whatever you want with me. I'm yours. And I totally trust you. Anyways, you know better than me, so just go ahead and inspire me in whichever way you want me to act in your service to do so. Right? Then it becomes very easy, very simple. And then we don't get attached to a particular plan, right? We might, okay, it seems like this is what Krishna wants me to do. He's inspiring me from within to do this. Devotees are encouraging me to. It looks like this is the direction that Krishna is pushing me in. So then you go with that, and then after some time, maybe you start hitting your head against the wall, or you're just feeling like not inspired anymore, and devotees are like, what are you doing that? And then you start getting all these signs that maybe I'm not meant to be doing this anymore. And then Krishna, okay, I guess my time for doing this particular service is up. What next? What do you want from me? Please make it clear. And then you start getting some signs and things. You can consult your guru. But yeah, Krishna's very good at making clear what we want to do. It may not be obviously apparent, but if we just remain open and just keep, wanting to please Krishna, praying, Krishna, how can I best please you? And serving, taking those opportunities, walking through the doors that open, then we can be confident that we're on the right path. Okay. Oh.
Hello.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. I just wanna say I guess when it comes to I'm just gonna comment on what you were speaking about.
Yeah.
When it comes to Krishna being the all and nothing happens without his approval.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got this yesterday. Like, what if, imagine, because we sit here and we talk about how nothing happens without the approval of Krishna,
Mm-hmm.
right? So imagine walking through this world just knowing whatever happens, it's the will of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
That, as a human, is hard.
Mm.
However, it's so beautiful for me now, because that's where I'm at right now, is learning to walk that walk, right? Moving through life like that, knowing, not believing anymore, but knowing. However, I'm just looking back on, if you would have told me this 10 years ago, if you were to tell somebody, just go through life knowing that everything is okay. Everything will be okay. Everything may not feel okay all the time, but we know that it's okay because everything is in the will of God. It's in the will of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, you can understand that mentally. However, it don't meet up with the physical. But over time, it do. And when you look back, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy, but it's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy, but it's so complicated. But not really. I don't know how to explain it, but once you get into a knowing, it really don't matter. Of course you're human, you're gonna go through emotions. This is what we have. What is it? The three modes?
Mm-hmm.
Ignorance, passion, and goodness.
Yeah.
This is how our feelings come through.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna have those little, but it's the detachment, it's the knowing that whether it's so-called good or so-called bad, it's in the will of God. And as long as I'm walking in the divine will of the Most High, there's nothing, whatever happens, just happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful for this lecture today, because I was really just thinking of meditating on this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how the class is about everything is in the will of Krishna, the will of God.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a big lesson, to accept that. There was one. We were at a retreat, and we were doing like a meditation called Alone with Krishna, and we had these meditation prompts, and one prompt was something like, how would your life be different if you fully trusted that Krishna is completely taking care of you? And it's just nice to sit down and think about it. How many things do I do because I'm insecure, because I'm afraid, How many times am I just reacting due to fears and insecurities, thinking that I have to fight for myself, I have to defend myself, I have to stand up for my rights, I have to manipulate situations, and sometimes we even hurt others in the process, you know, and cause bad relationships and things. But if we fully understood and accepted that Krishna's got it under control and he's our best friend, right? He knows everything. He's totally on top of it. He's seeing everything. He's from all lifetime, you know, millions of lifetimes that we've been in the material world. He's been with us. He knows everything about us, everything we think, everything we feel, everything we've been through. And he knows everything we need, and he's capable of supplying it and arranging for it. And so, yeah, we have to see everything that happens, good, bad, or neutral. This is what I need. This is exactly what Krishna's giving me, exactly what I need right now. I may not like it, may not be comfortable, but I need this, you know. This is something for me to grow on. So then we reflect on it like that. How is this helping me to grow? Right? Instead of thinking, oh, poor me, I'm a victim, and this person did this to me, and that's terrible, and I need to, whatever. Just think, how is Krishna pushing me to grow by giving me this experience? What am I meant to learn? How is this meant to push me in a forward direction, closer to him? And just keep taking shelter of Krishna again and again.
That's the most important thing. The go-to that I've learned as well is when it gets hard, that's when you ask. You have to go to, I mean, there's really nowhere else to go. So it's like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be learning? Okay, and that's your surrender moment. You know, I'm open. Yeah. Show me the way.
Yeah.
Sounds easy.
But if we can actually realize that and act accordingly, think accordingly, feel accordingly, then we'll be totally peaceful. Right? That's the peace formula that Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. That if we can understand three things, that Krishna is the supreme controller, that he's our best friend, and that everything should be done for him, then we can be totally peaceful. Because if the person who's controlling everything is your best friend, that means they're going to control everything for your benefit, because that's what friends do, right? Friends help friends have a good life, have good things, be successful. So, and Krishna is actually capable of making everything happen for our, you know, to perfect this life. And then
I just feel like sometimes I feel like I'm a float off.
You're what?
I'm a float off.
Float off?
Float off.
Float off.
Have you ever had that feeling where you feel like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, okay, so when you get into that mode, like, okay, I just trust God that everything is going to be okay, and I'm going to just move through life and watch how he move things out. But when you get there, it almost feels like you're not connected to the earth anymore. It almost feels like you're going to float away. So something happens to where I have to come back and ground I don't know how to explain it, but it's a beautiful thing to trust God. That's all I would say.
Yeah. And and that's the way to be free from duality, right? The duality of this is good, this is bad, I like this, I don't like this, you know, honor and dishonor and praise and blame. We become transcendental to all these dualities because we realize that that Krishna is the absolute truth and that everything that he does is good. So there's no bad. You know, everything is good. It's just a question of perspective, right? And understanding. So, yeah. In Krishna consciousness, for a person in full Krishna consciousness, everything is good. And for a person who's not at all connected to Krishna, is not religious in any way, everything is bad. Everything that they do is bad. Even if they do a good thing, you know, so-called pious, you know, act of kindness, but because it's mundane,